Hey all, welcome to the back channel. On today's episode, I want to recount a conversation I had with a close friend of mine, Daniel Hatkoff, for a fireside conversation that I hosted for founders. I often do this to give founders an insight into the minds of investors and founders that have raised before. I find that I certainly have a lot of insights myself to share with founders, and people will listen to them, but you often need to hear the same advice 10 different times, spoken by 5 different people, surrounded by 3 different stories before it finally hits you and it finally resonates with you to make you go, oh, that is what I should do. So that's often what I do, rehash it, remix it, bring people together to talk about it. So hope you join me at one of those workshops. But let's get back to the fireside conversation that I had with Daniel Hatkoff. Before we get into that, you should know a little bit about who Daniel is. Daniel was a private equity executive at Warburg Pincus before starting his company Pitzi, which is an insurance provider for cell phones actually in Brazil. But he himself is American. Then after raising about $30 million of venture capital for Pitzi, getting it to a large state, he ended up hiring an outside CEO and stepping away more as an executive chairman, and then shifting over to an investing role at WTI. So he sits on both sides of the table. He understands the perspective of the investor. He understands the perspective of a founder, which is a really valuable point of view to learn from. So we talked a little bit about his fundraisers over the years. And I thought the initial part of the conversation, which recounted his first raises, as being pretty instructional. So one of the things he talked about is when he started building Pitzi, he was open to the idea of raising venture capital, but he wasn't dead set on raising venture capital. At the time, he was thinking about an insurance play and starting to put the pieces together, doing what he could to build it himself, even teaching himself to code so he could build first versions of a product. And in so doing, started taking calls with smart people, asked his network to connect him to people who would know the industry, understand what he was doing. And a lot of those smart people happened to be venture capitalists. In those conversations, he would tell venture capitalists the truth. I mean, this is the truth. It's not even a spin, that he wasn't raising money and he just wanted to learn. It turns out in those conversations, as VCs learned how Daniel thought, learned about what he thought the opportunity would be, he was developing a reputation for himself before he would ever go ask them for money. So the first thing Daniel talked about is how important it was to focus on building the business, and later what he learned was building his reputation. If you're a startup trying to sell into enterprises, I'm sure you've been dreading getting some sort of certification like SOC 2 or HIPAA. I know I did when I ran my last startup, and it cost us a lot of important deals. Well, you're in luck, because not only is there an awesome solution called Vanta that makes the process dead simple, but also funded listeners get $1,000 off their service just by going to vanta.com/funded. Check it out. Those two things led to an outcome where, as he was going to scale the business a little bit more, he had connections in the venture capital world that identified him as a potential high-quality founder who might be venture backable, who might actually be considering building a venture scale company. And when venture capitalists see those opportunities, they feel like they've caught a deal. They feel like they've seen an opportunity before the rest of the vultures swoop in, put money in, and try to raise prices on them. So when VCs see talent like that, an opportunity, they will try to get the deal done before it goes to market. And this is kind of what happened with Daniel. As the story goes, an investor from Flybridge Capital talked to Daniel about his plans to build the company and said, why don't you take on some money? If you did it, you could build faster. You could build towards a larger company. Consider taking money from me and we'll help you do everything you plan on doing except for bigger and faster. It was that situation that really led him to be able to raise a great round of capital. And so as he thinks about what he did right, not by design or not because he was trying to manufacture an amazing fundraise, but it is something that he advises a lot of founders, which is focus on your business, build a great business in the beginning, and then also build your reputation. Those two things together will put you in a situation to help you raise capital in the future. Now, that's easier said than done. It's certainly simple for me to describe that in a few words in a 2-minute conversation with Daniel. But try to decide what that means for you. Understand what you could do in the beginning days without raising capital, and keep iterating on that as you talk to smart people and represent yourself as a high quality founder that investors will want to invest in the future. So that's what I want to share from my conversation with Daniel Hatkoff. 2 big takeaways before you raise capital: focus on your business and focus on building your reputation. That's it for this episode of the Back Channel. Let me know if there are any other conversations you want me to share on future Back Channel episodes, and I'll try to set them up. All right, see you next time.